The sound wasn't a scream. It was a crack. A sharp, dry snap that didn't belong inside an airplane cabin, the kind of sound your brain rejects before it understands. For half a second, nobody moved. And then my daughter screamed, and the entire world tilted sideways. That was the moment everything changed, even though at the time I didn't know yet how far the fallout would reach. Let me rewind a bit. That morning started like any other travel day, the kind that feels expensive before you even board. Glass walls at the terminal, the smell of burnt coffee mixed with cologne. People walking fast like the airport owes them something. I had booked my daughter Lena on a transatlantic flight to meet me for her birthday. She was 13, flying alone for the first time, and yeah, I splurged. Seat 1A. Front of the plane. Not because I wanted to show off, but because I wanted her safe close to the crew looked after. You know what I mean? Lena didn't look like the typical first-class passenger. No blazer, no designer bag. She had on a hoodie, sneakers, and a beat-up backpack covered in enamel pins from places she dreamed of going. She looked like a kid, because she was one. She double-checked her boarding pass at least 3 times, just like I taught her, then settled into her seat, trying to look calm, even though I know her hands were probably shaking. That's when the flight attendant showed up. Her name tag said Colleen. Tall, immaculate smile sharp enough to cut glass. She didn't say hello, didn't ask if Lena needed help. She looked down at her like a misplaced object and said, "Sweetheart, you boarded through the wrong door. Economy is further back." Lena smiled politely. "I'm in 1A. Colleen didn't take the boarding pass when Lena offered it. She stared at it from a distance, then at Lena's face, then at her clothes. Finally, she took it between 2 fingers like it might stain her gloves. Her expression changed not to surprise, but to irritation, like reality had inconvenienced her. "This can't be right," she said loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. "These upgrades glitch sometimes." Lena explained calmly that her dad booked the ticket, that she was flying to meet him. Colleen laughed, not kindly, not amused. The kind of laugh that says, "I've already decided who you are." "First class isn't for unaccompanied minors," she said, which was a lie. "You'll be more comfortable in the back anyway." Now, here's the thing about my daughter. She's polite, she's gentle, but she knows when she's right. She shook her head and said, "This is my seat." That should have been the end of it. Check the manifest, confirm the name, move on. But Colleen didn't want confirmation. She wanted control. She waved over another attendant, whispered something, rolled her eyes. People started watching. You could feel the judgment in the air, thick and quiet. A man in a suit a few rows back asked if there was a problem. Colleen smiled like a switch flipped. "Just a seating issue. We're handling it." She turned back to Lena, smile gone. "Last chance. Get up." Lena sat down and buckled her seatbelt. That click echoed. I wasn't there yet, but later several people told me it sounded like a challenge. Colleen leaned in close, too close, and whispered something that made my daughter's eyes fill with tears. She told her she didn't belong there. Told her people like her always try to take what isn't theirs. And then, because the plane was already pushing back and Lena said she couldn't unbuckle, Colleen grabbed her arm. Not gently, not to help. She yanked. Physics did the rest. The seatbelt held. The arm didn't. That snap cut through the cabin like a gunshot. By the time I heard about it, I was in the cockpit, jump seat, riding along with an old friend who was flying that leg. I'd taken the seat last minute because my return plans shifted and I wanted to surprise Lena. I was halfway through a joke when the intercom crackled. Colleen's voice, shaky but controlled, reporting a violent passenger in 1A. My blood ran cold. I didn't run. I didn't shout. I walked. Every step felt heavy like gravity doubled. When I entered the cabin, I saw my daughter slumped sideways, her arm hanging wrong, her face white with shock. She was crying, calling my name, and Colleen was standing over her, telling her to quiet down. I told her to step away. She tried to assert authority, told me to return to my seat. Then she saw my ID. Captain Marcus Hale. And something shifted behind her eyes. Fear, finally. Paramedics met us at the gate. Police followed. Phones were already out. Someone had recorded everything. Colleen tried to claim my daughter attacked her, that she was resisting. That story didn't last long once witnesses spoke up. At the hospital, the doctor explained the damage: spiral fracture, surgery, plates, screws. Lena would heal, but there was nerve damage, permanent. She loved playing piano. That was gone. The airline called that night, expressed regret, offered assistance. Then they slid the real offer across the table. Money, silence, a non-disclosure agreement wrapped in fake concern. They thought I was just another employee who'd take the check and keep flying. They didn't know who they were dealing with, because I wasn't just a pilot. I was a safety instructor, and for months I'd been flagging maintenance shortcuts, deferred inspections, paperwork tricks to keep planes in rotation. The same culture that taught Colleen she could decide who belonged where was the culture cutting corners behind the scenes. I went public. I grounded the fleet. The fallout was immediate. Flights canceled worldwide. Stock tanked. Executives scrambled. Hearings were called. And when the video of my daughter's arm snapping played in a packed room in Washington, there was nowhere left to hide. Colleen was charged, convicted, fired. The airline folded under the weight of lawsuits and investigations. People called me a hero. Others called me reckless, said I overreacted. Maybe. All I know is this: a child was hurt because someone decided she didn't belong, because prejudice mixed with power and no one stopped it in time. I stopped it the only way I knew how. Lena is 14 now, scar on her arm, confidence in her eyes. She doesn't play piano anymore, but she flies with me sometimes, sitting right up front, looking out at the sky like it owes her nothing and everything at the same time. So here's my question for you. Where's the line between following rules and abusing power, between protecting order and enforcing prejudice? And if you were in my position, would you have done the same thing? Or would you have taken the check and stayed quiet? Let me know in the comments. I really want to hear what you think.